page, which is the leading real estate platform in Cambodia. Similar to Bayut in the UAE or Property Guru in Singapore, if you're familiar with that. So that's my platform. I'm here with myself and John Yip, who's the head of real estate investment from Belt Road Capital. Realestate.com, Belt Road Capital, and some of their the biggest brands in Cambodia in terms of real estate development are also over here at a booth in the corner over here. So after the presentation, I certainly encourage everyone to come over and speak to the team over there. For my presentation, I'll focus more on the core industries, a little bit of high level on the infrastructure. I'll also talk about the real estate overview and a bit of consumer sentiment about real estate, what everyone's thinking in the market, both locally and internationally. Whether John will be focused more on the economics of Cambodia. Really, people have different ideas of Cambodia, and more often than not, it only really opens people's minds when they actually step foot in the country and understand how developed the country really is. We often say it's about 5 to 10 years behind Thailand, which means that Cambodia presents some unique opportunities that might have been been and gone in the Thai market. So before I get into the presentation, I'll just go back to the screen for two videos, one highlighting Cambodia itself and another one highlighting one of the highest growth regions in Cambodia on the coastal region of Sihanoukville and Ream, where we just hosted a huge outdoor kite and flight festival which attracted 10,000 people to the coastal region, which is the biggest local tourism event the region has seen since COVID times. So we'll just go back to the videos for a second.
A kingdom rich in ancient history and the essence of a unique culture. A land filled with warm and hospitable people. An emerging place where you can see a remarkable surge in diverse sectors. Welcome to Cambodia. Country with the most stable politics in Southeast Asia. Located at the heart of Southeast Asia with unlimited potential. Home to a rising star city of lucrative opportunities, an emerging coastal hub in Sihanoukville. Introducing Bay of Lights, the international financial hub. Upcoming extraordinary tourist attractions with year-long celebrations. The perfect place for bustling nightlife and festivals. Future home for everyone. With a 934-hectare master plan city development by the coast of Sihanoukville, a veritable utopia complete with state-of-the-art infrastructure. Luxurious residential units, commercial spaces, and recreational facilities. Planned and developed by our most reliable team of professionals. Can be your dream destination or home with numerous potential to expand the boundaries from kingdom to the world. Bay of Lights.
We don't have one more video? Okay. So the location of Cambodia is between Thailand and Vietnam. It's the heart of Southeast Asia and the Asian region. So the population of Cambodia is 16 million people, which to some people and some investors doesn't sound so exciting, but it really is the gateway to so many more. 600 million across Southeast Asia alone, with very important trade routes by road and rivers from China all the way through to India via the New Silk Road trade route. I will present it throughout this presentation, but Cambodia itself is a key destination and a very strategic partner for some of the biggest economies in the world, including China. You see, the region for many countries, but also China's, how do I explain this? Cambodia and China are very closely related and strong trade partners. The region, including Vietnam and Thailand, are very strategic, but whilst Vietnam and China will always get along for the sake of business, they're never going to have a stronger relationship than Cambodia and China, and the same goes for Thailand. So who am I? Just to give you a little bit of background, certainly not a sales pitch on my business, but realestate.com is similar to Beirut in the UAE, as I mentioned, and we're working with all of the real estate agencies and property developers in the country, so we're a neutral party, and it's just a pleasure to come here and promote Cambodia to the world with you today. So where our traffic comes from on the website is a really good indication. Where our traffic comes from is a really good indication of who's investing in the market and which eyeballs we're currently attracting to Cambodia. So 51% of our traffic is from Cambodia, naturally. There's an emerging middle class in Cambodia that think that buying property is definitely a good investment. China is leading in terms of international traffic, which is not surprising. But something that might be surprising to some of you in the room is that the US and US investors are also very keen on the Cambodian market. Most of the other sort of investment countries that we see in property are located around Southeast Asia, Singapore and Malaysia, also neighboring countries, Thailand and Vietnam. But we are seeing investment from European countries, as well as an increased interest from India and also some of the Middle Eastern countries. I highlight it in a few slides, but Saudi Arabia is just opening an embassy in Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia at the moment, and we've just recently signed a strategic trade agreement with the UAE as of a matter of a week ago. So just some highlights of Cambodia in the news. Like many countries, our rebound from COVID has been very strong. On the left-hand side, it is on the screen is just highlighting some of the strategic partnerships that we continue to sort of do in Cambodia. Cambodia is a low-income status country at the moment. The Prime Minister is focused on making Cambodia a high middle-income country by the year 2030. We all think that it's well on track for that. So there's a lot of growth in the local economy. As I mentioned, India, in terms of us expanding bilateral trade relationships with India. I mentioned Saudi Arabia opening the embassy in Cambodia. I think the most relevant news for the sake of this presentation is that there's right now increased eyeballs on Cambodia. Right now in the country we have the Southeast Asia Games where tens of thousands of tourists have embarked on the country and tens of thousands more eyeballs on the country promoting it to the region. Also, I mentioned the strategic partnership between the UAE and Cambodia. And for the balance of this presentation, I also want you to keep in your mind that the government has approved draft laws on a multi-purpose special economic zone to be located in the coastal region of Cambodia. So what that means for the first time in Southeast Asia, and certainly the first time in Cambodia and the region, is going to be a very sort of strategic place for multinational businesses to operate out of Cambodia with some very favorable business environment and tax breaks for those that enter the market. So the core industries or the economy in Cambodia is driven by manufacturing, real estate and construction, the agricultural sector and tourism. Tourism was the most impacted naturally during COVID, where the agriculture sector actually grew during COVID. We're already seeing that rebound from tourism, and that would be the case across the world, of course. I'll go into it in a few slides' time, but you'll see that the rapid infrastructure development by roads, bridges, and deep sea ports is expected to catapult tourism way beyond the numbers that we saw in 2019. So our top trading partners in terms of export, which is a surprise to many, is the US, followed by the countries in the EU, and then more neighbouring countries such as Singapore, China again, and Japan. So the share of import is dominated by China, and this is one of the main reasons why Cambodia is a very strategic location for both America and American investments and exports and China. So two of the biggest powerhouses in the world. So now we'll get into more of like visualizing Cambodia, and hopefully you can imagine yourselves there, especially through some of the photo slides that I go through. But these are the key investment destinations. So the small, I guess call it red dot, is Phnom Penh. That's our capital city. A population of 2 million today, and a population of 7.9 by 2030. Now that has to do with obvious urbanization rates, but that would be a resounding growth by 2030. The government's expanding the ring of Phnom Penh also to increase the population size of the capital city. Again, I've got a visual of this, but right now under construction in Phnom Penh is the 9th largest airport in the world. And this was the MCC's largest foreign deal in 2021. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, why would they be building the 9th largest airport in the world in a country with a population of 16 million? But just remember, when I went through the start of the slides, I said that it's an extremely strategic location for the region. They're not building the 9th largest airport in the world for nothing. And then Siem Reap, which is really tourist town. This is the location of Angkor Wat, one of the 7th wonders of the world. And one of the most exciting locations on the coastal region is called Sihanoukville. This is where the deep sea port is. In fact, they're currently announced the construction of the 3rd deep sea port. Island tourism is extremely popular in Sihanoukville, and this is where we're talking about the location of the multi-purpose special economic zone. In each of these cities, there's currently being a new airport being built under construction. So it's not just something that's in the news and going to happen, it's actually happening today. So also we hear a lot of things, especially at these conferences, about the Belt Road Initiative. And to be honest, in Cambodia, when the Belt Road Initiative was first announced, I thought it was a whole marketing thing, right? But I've seen it with my own eyes, is the 3 new airports and main artillery roads being built and already under construction, and one of the major ones already complete. So the road from Sihanoukville to Phnom Penh, or the highway from Sihanoukville to Phnom Penh, used to be a journey of about 5 to 6 hours. In the height of the activity in Sihanoukville, it actually took me 10 hours to get from Phnom Penh to Sihanoukville, which didn't make a lot of sense for a lot of trade and a lot of goods coming into the deep sea port, but it was so hard to move it from there to the capital. So as of today, that journey is now just 2 hours long. The other major roads that are being built is connecting Phnom Penh to the border of Cambodia and Vietnam, as well as a new highway being built between Phnom Penh and Siem Reap, which is much closer to the border of Thailand. In Cambodia, there's 54 special economic zones, And the largest special economic zone is located in Sihanoukville. I think you'll also see a theme today that we're expecting Sihanoukville and the coastal region to be the highest growth area of Cambodia over the next 10 years. The largest economic zone is in Sihanoukville. It's already creating 24,000 jobs, and it's already had 2.2 billion in investment capital. So just to give you a quick overview of the real estate market and how it works in Cambodia. So, I mean, like many countries, we have the landed property market, which has been dominated by local Cambodians up until recently. There's an error on this slide, but international investors and foreign buyers have started to show interest in the landed property market via a trust, which is a new law that's been passed in Cambodia that foreigners can legally own landed property via a trust. So that's where the error is. It's not via a strata title. But for many years now, condominiums have been the most popular investment in terms of residential real estate in Cambodia by foreign investors. Ownership laws are very easy. They can be 100% foreign owned via a strata title. And typically these condominiums are centrally located, rented out to expats, whilst the landed properties are more of the sort of outside the city centre in terms of location. So just as I mentioned at the start, just quickly going through a consumer sentiment survey. So every year my company surveys about 5,000 people, both locally and internationally, about how they're thinking about the real estate market. So it's all very well for me to get up on presentations like this and pitch you all the fabulous things about Cambodia real estate. But the truth lies in what actual foreign investors and local Cambodians are thinking about the market. We're very happy that this year, post-COVID, that the sentiment is a lot more positive than it was 12 months ago. So just to give you an idea of who's filling out the survey, it's 50% Cambodians, and this is a mix of middle-class, affluent Cambodians and first home buyers. And then the leading international markets is China, countries in the ASEAN region, and the US. And the age, so the age is probably a bit skewed, to be honest. Most people on our platform are actually in the property market. They're looking to buy property, or they're of the age that are at least starting to think about property. Cambodia is a very young generation, just that our databases and our traffic is more the older generation. But so people in Cambodia probably start to think about property about the age of 21. Now, I'm sure it seems extremely young for a lot of people here, but more often than not, it's the children that are bringing a lot of the Cambodian families out of poverty, and these are the people that are working and creating the family wealth. So these, at about age 21 to really 23, 24, that younger Cambodians are starting to think about property. Certainly more faster than I started thinking about property investments myself. So everyone obviously thinks that buying property in Cambodia is a great investment. In terms of affordability, so most people think that Cambodia real estate is affordable, but the biggest change this year was that 37% thought that Cambodia real estate was very, very affordable. Now, this is a mix of all Cambodians and foreigners that filled out the survey. The numbers, if I put them up here for foreigners, would be extremely skewed towards huge budgets and extremely affordable market, but I wanted to give you a true reflection of the market. So, in the past 12 months, the majority of people felt like the Cambodian prices had decreased, which was true across a lot of areas of real estate. But most recent survey that we finished in February this year was that everyone expected the property market in Cambodia to increase and continue to grow sort of post-COVID. In terms of readiness to buy, most people were looking to buy within the next 12 to 18 months. in terms of what they were looking to buy. So really there's two main sort of real estate options in Cambodia, is the landed property market and the condominium market. Foreigners dominated the condominium market, whilst locals dominated the landed property market. In terms of where they were looking to buy, last year it was about 90% Phnom Penh. I think people were being a lot more safer last year. The biggest growth we've seen this year is Sihanoukville, with up to 10%, almost 10% in terms of location preference. Siem Reap was definitely higher in previous years. And then we just have the what budgets they're looking to spend on the other side of the slide. So just a guide on pricing in Cambodia. So low-end condominiums or sort of entry-level condominiums can be priced anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 per square meter in USD, whilst mid-range is between $2,000 and $3,000 and high-end above $3,000. So we saw a downward trend during COVID. We weren't so we didn't see upward trends, which some markets did, like Australia, but we're happy to see that it's starting to trend upwards right now. And just a snapshot of the average deal size that we see. We're not saying that this is reflective of the whole market, but it's quite a good sample size of condominiums only. So the average deal size we're seeing is 131,000 USD, which is about 1,900 per square meter. Typical build time in Cambodia is 3 to 4 years for a condominium, with property management fees between $1 and $2.50. We are seeing some developers at about 75 cents, and typically they're the bigger developers that have their own property management sort of companies. We see a rental yield of 6 to 10% and a capital appreciation of between 3 and 4%. And then property tax in Cambodia is quite low, a property transfer tax of 4% and a capital gains tax of 20%. This is Cambodia, Phnom Penh in terms of land price. I'll just let you have a look at this. I'm pretty keen to get into the visuals. So this is Phnom Penh. These are three main infrastructure projects. So we have the new airport. We have in the middle is the new stadium, which is built and operational. This is the main area of the Southeast Asia Games. And then highways. This is the highway between Phnom Penh and the Vietnamese border. This is, I can't say the year, but I think this is Phnom Penh in 2002, one of the areas that's now developed like this. This is to display what's possible in Cambodia and the rapid growth in infrastructure and development in the country. This is another shot of the same location. This is where one of the train lines is. We don't have sort of a metro yet, but we do have some sort of goods being using rail, if that makes sense. This is right near the capital. This is one of the highest growth locations in Phnom Penh and one of the most developed. It certainly doesn't look like that in this picture, but this is the exact same location today. And this is just a close-up of that location. So this is Phnom Penh in 2012. This is one of the most famous markets in the city. And just a few years later, in 2018, this is how the skyline looks today. This is Phnom Penh in 2017. And this is the same location in 2022. The choice of cars have also changed since 2017 and 2022. So this is a new project being built in Phnom Penh. Actually the land's completed now. This is where they're building a new bridge between that land and the island that we were just looking at in the previous slide. Here is the Phnom Penh skyline in 2020. And this is the final slide for Phnom Penh. Now this is Angkor Wat. This is one of the 7 wonders of the world. It was completed in the 12th century. And this is what attracts hundreds of thousands of tourists to Cambodia each year. This is Siem Reap during 2021. Again, like a lot of these countries, Cambodia government took the opportunity of COVID to rapidly develop the infrastructure. This is in one of these corners where you can see the Cambodian flags is almost the exact same street today. And they've redone all the main 32 roads in Siem Reap City, and the airport is about to open in the next few months. This is Sihanoukville, again a new airport under construction. The deep sea port, the first of two that are already complete and one more that's just been announced. And this is the Phnom Penh to Sihanoukville expressway that I mentioned before. This is Sihanoukville in 2005. This is the same location in 2019. And this is what it looks like today with brand new roads in 2021. This again is another part of Sihanoukville in 2018 where we still see dirt roads, and this is what all the roads look like today in Sihanoukville. And we are seeing some of the most impressive development in the coastal region in Sihanoukville. Again, this is one of the new roads that is being laid during COVID, and this is another image of Sihanoukville in 2021. Before I finish, I just want to add a few more sentiments to Sihanoukville. Pre-COVID, in Sihanoukville, it was like a rapid development. We saw a good number of developers sort of go down to Sihanoukville and start construction. A lot of this development was driven by, I guess, casinos and online casinos in particular. What we're very proud of with the Cambodian government is the ban of online gambling in Cambodia, which has seen a lot of these developers in the market that we really don't want in the market leave Cambodia. And a lot of these buildings, the government's giving incentives for other developers to take them over. So we're very proud that the government stepped up and banned this kind of business in Cambodia for the betterment of better future growth. And this is the final slide of some of the islands off the coast of Sihanoukville. With two of my favorite hotels. The top one is Alila and the other one is Songsa Private Island, just to give you an idea of the beauty of Cambodia. So that's all for me. I'm going to pass you over to John from Belt Road Capital Management, and then at the end we'll come back for some questions, but over to you.
Can we still get the video for Skyfest going? Okay, good afternoon all. Before we start, could I just ask if there are any investors in the crowd? Okay. So any investors in the crowd willing to compromise on returns because of today's interest rates and banking issues? Didn't think so. All right. Thank you, Tom, for the introduction. My name is John. I'm a real estate investment professional. And for the last 20 years, I've chased returns across Asia. 10 years ago, we did land in Vietnam's District 2 at about $2,000 per square meter. Today, that land is worth 10 to 20 times the same value. 7 years ago, I did data centers in Southeast Asia in a space predominantly dominated by Keppel and maybe Mapletree. Today, in Southeast Asia, there's KKR, there is Carlyle, there is Warburg, there are the Chinese firms GDS 21, Vianet, there are the Singaporean firms CapitaLand, everybody is squeezing in. Hence, more competition for the same returns. Today, I'm here to speak to you about Cambodia, what I believe to be the star opportunity for the next decade. So if you have missed Vietnam 10 years ago, and you have missed data centers 5 years ago, please do not miss Cambodia today. Okay, first we will touch on why Cambodia is a good investment opportunity as compared to other options in other markets. Second, why your money will drive returns if you put it into Cambodia. Third, Cambodia's Sihanoukville, as mentioned by Tom, which is the country's first special economic zone. And finally, Sihanoukville's Bay of Lights, which is the region and the country's first and only international financial center. So this is pretty much an exclusive for the crowd here today. Why Cambodia versus other markets? So before COVID, in 2018 and 2019, Asia produced more than a third of the world's global GDP. Additionally, it grew at the rate faster than Europe and America. ASEAN grew at 25% faster than Asia, and Cambodia grew at 50% faster than ASEAN, putting it, literally speaking, at the top of the GDP producing world. In terms of population, because of China and India today, Asia is 60% of the world's global population. Yet, it is still growing at a rate that is almost double that of Europe and America. ASEAN grows at about 50% faster than Asia, and Cambodia grows twice as fast as ASEAN, making it literally the top grower at the population contributing world. So, as mentioned by Tom earlier, we view Cambodia as the heart of Southeast Asia, but not only beyond that, but as you know, beyond this graph, to the right and east of Vietnam is China, and to the left of Myanmar is Bangladesh as well as India. Given the base of Singapore and Indonesia, this creates a golden triangle of which Cambodia is at the center. So with 7 million tourists, with over 3 and maybe more international airports that will open this year, there are currently 120 flights connected with China every week, a number that will soon triple and bring in more of a tourist base that's famous for its spending patterns. So for the last 40 years, our Prime Minister, Hun Sen, has retained power. We don't have a 36-year-old lady challenging the generals currently in power. We don't have an anti-corruption drive that is paralyzing the country. Cambodia's Prime Minister has remained firmly in power and will continue to remain firmly in power when it's handed over this year to his son, the next Prime Minister. In terms of currency controls, ASEAN is at the heart of a financial bifurcation. Half or most of the countries are moving away from a traditional reliance on US dollar, while Laos and Cambodia are remaining firmly in the dollar camp. So what this means is in Cambodia, apart from your loans, your deposits, your capital repatriation and flows, you can buy fried scorpion in the Cambodian province with the US dollar, a fact that has led the IMF to rank Cambodia at 90% dollarization, and higher than most of its immediate neighbors. As mentioned by Tom earlier, thanks Dr. Tani for the CEPA that was signed earlier this year in April to reduce tariffs and to promote trade. But in addition to that, Cambodia also has double taxation agreements that are signed with Singapore, Brunei, Vietnam, Malaysia, and China, along with a free trade agreement with China. So with the lack of currency controls and with the DTAs that have been signed, it sets Cambodia up as a potential regional financial center for the region. So why will your money increase in value should you put it into Cambodia? Firstly, Cambodia is the Southeast Asian economy's second most driven by FDI growth after Singapore, a fact our government is very aware of and tailors policies to further attract FDI. While tourism is the major contributor to FDI, as mentioned by Tom, further policy developments that we will share about later are expected that will increase FDI into the country. So yes, China is the country's top source for FDI, but as mentioned by Tom, the US is the sixth and the largest export market, which makes China and the US both key partners of Cambodia. Additionally, between 2011 and 2020, the CAGR for domestic investments grew at 26% compared to foreign investment, which only grew at half the rate during the period, letting domestic investment catch up to roughly 50% of cumulative total investment into Cambodia. Thus, we believe that as FDI increases, domestic investment will keep pace and returns will not dislocate or imbalance from the fund flows. This is my favorite slide. So Cambodia has a population of 70% that is below 30 years old, a fact that I'll summarize for Tom when he shared earlier. So of this 70%, most of them will have increased spending power due to wages and entering the workforce, and they will buy homes. Additionally, over the last 12 years, Cambodia has urbanized at a rate of 23%, leaving it only currently still at 24%, a level that is way lower than its ASEAN neighbors. So what this means is that over the next 10 years, as Cambodia continues to urbanize, we will have more people with more money entering the cities. So as mentioned by Tom as well, tourism and infrastructure spending are big key concepts in Cambodia. As large projects such as the Belt and Road Initiative complete and overland and overseas travel improves, we expect to see more tourists come in via sea and via land, compared to a pre-COVID peak of 6 million visitors by air, 2 million by land, and 100,000 by sea. So in future, the growth is conservatively projected at double digits, which will bring additional tourist dollar into the country. So if you're looking at, let's say, developed markets in the world, London, New York, Singapore, Tokyo, Korea, where there are rising interest rates, rising yields, and rising cap rates, returns will suffer a major drag. In Cambodia, the returns and the interest rate, was on a downward trend pre-COVID. And what is surprising is during COVID, this trend held steady rather than rebounding upwards. Inflation has historically always been significantly lower than interest rates. And what this means is that even as inflation doubles from 2.5 to 5% this year, it will still be significantly lower than the interest rate of 9% that Cambodia is currently experiencing. As further FDI comes in, we expect these interest rates to further continue their pre-COVID downward trend, for the yields to decrease, and for the cap rates to decrease, driving returns. A scenario that is virtually the opposite of what's happening out there in the developed world right now. So I won't go into this. Please feel free to approach us at the Cambodia booth, but favorable investment laws, 100% land ownership via trust, of which our group has experts ready to consult and advise on your trust requirements should you need to, income tax exemptions, and a very, very flexible visa policy, which allows you to, for the cost of a few $100 US, extend your stay almost indeterminately in Cambodia itself. So Cambodia will never be an industrial or manufacturing hub because unlike its neighbors, Bangladesh, India, Indonesia, Vietnam, Myanmar even, the population is only 17 million. So this is a fact that the government is very aware of. As mentioned earlier, our Prime Minister, as he hands over power to his son, is going to entrust the reins to someone who has a bachelor's, a master's, as well as a PhD in economics for the next generation. Coupled with the ASEAN financial reform that is currently splitting Southeast Asia, increasing transparency and costs in the British Virgin Islands, in Jersey, Guernsey, Caymans, and almost any other offshore center in the world. With Singapore as the heart of Southeast Asia pushing away money for house purchases or capital flows, and a Cambodian governmental transition, would there be the rise of another financial hub in Southeast Asia? Of course, this question is rhetoric. So what we would like to present today is Cambodia's first and only multi-purpose special economic zone. So connected by land, there is a multi-billion-dollar highway running from Phnom Penh to Sihanoukville, which connects the region to a quick car trip of less than 2 hours. Secondly, it will be connected by sea. Currently, the only an international deep sea port in Sihanoukville in Cambodia is located in Sihanoukville. Additionally, the first proposed international cruise center will be within the future International Financial Center, which is the Bay of Lights. Sihanoukville currently also has one of the 3 airports that will soon go to 5 that houses international flights. And of course, lastly, and most importantly, connected by policy, the region will house Cambodia's first and only international financial center. So we expect tourists to continue to come back to Cambodia post-COVID. As mentioned earlier, this township development at 934 hectares will be the first coastal township development in Cambodia and the home to the future of finance in Cambodia itself. So our company, Canopy Sands, as well as Prince Holding Group, is the real estate private contractor that has been mandated by the government to monetize the real estate component of the policies. As you know, you lose tax revenues through giving tax incentives, but you make it back via the real estate vehicle. So it's managed and operated by an international team, Canopy Sands Development Singapore, with an international complement of recognized players such as Sabana, Greg Norman, of which the first golf course in the region will be housed within the township, Colliers, Swan and McLaren, and some other usual international names. The company making the lobbying possible for the IFC-related work is the Prince Holding Group, an entity with over 4 billion invested into Cambodia, over 6 areas, with 4 special advisor appointments to our Prime Minister. Employing over 5,000 people, the Prince Holding Group is responsible for lobbying the respective ministries for the policies required for the International Financial Center that will make the township different from any other real estate project within Cambodia itself. So, as you know, in any country with a monarchy and a king and a nobility granting perhaps soft title or hereditary land titles, reclaimed land is complication-free, i.e. there won't be any villages or town head or government officials showing up on your land, your reclaimed land, and claiming that they have a claim or ownership over the land as well. Secondly, the reclamation is done by an industry leader, China Harbour Engineering Company, with a green and sustainable approach. And over the years, the reclamation has progressed from 0 to 130 hectares, to which we will soon double to more than 280 hectares. So the township is expected to develop over the next 10 years with multiple districts starting development. However, please note that these are just commencement dates and actual completion dates will stretch another 15 to 20 years down the road as the financial center develops in a combination of finance and tourism similar to Singapore or Monaco. The current pipelines that we have right now, Club Street, the bungee, go-karts, walking street, fine sand beach. Basic amenities that will evolve into a business center to house the corporate functions of the International Financial Center, a beach club for leisure and recreation activities, as well as the first Greg Norman signature 18-hole golf course in the region. More importantly as well, the business administration building will house the finance departments required for regulating the International Finance Center, of which the government officials we will invite to dine, play, and live in our golf villas and clubhouse. So with that, to summarize this presentation, Cambodia is one of the few places in the world where returns will be on an upward trajectory through this current climate of failing banks and rising interest rates. Secondly, Sihanoukville is the government's supported and designated only special economic zone within Cambodia itself. Thirdly, out of all the current 56 zones that Tom mentioned, most of them are industrial, and the Bay of Lights will be the only international finance center within Sihanoukville and Cambodia. And lastly, to find out more than what is publicly available or announceable, please do feel free to approach us at our booth, and we will attempt to answer whatever questions you might have. So with that, we'd like to conclude today's presentation. We'd like to invite everybody in the crowd up on the stage to take a photo with us. Please.